Outgoing CEO of Mutual and Federal, Peter Todd, addressed delegates at the insurance conference a little while ago on the value of good advice. Peter, in a world where consumers have more access to information than they ever did before, what should advisors do to remain relevant?
Yeah, and I think it's about embracing those changes, which is primarily driven through technology and social media. But I think that clutter of information actually enhances the proposition for advice, because if you're not qualified, as most consumers aren't, in the complexities of an insurance product, where do you start? So you can gather loads of information. So there's definitely enhances the need, but then I think the trick is also going to be, how do you enhance that technology or harness that technology to access your customer base, a broader customer base, provide more efficient and more effective means of giving advice. So it's probably a different way and you deliver that advice, but certainly the advice element is definitely enhanced.
Just on direct insurers, because you are quite critical, just sort of critical of what they do to tarnish the image of the advisor, and by implication the rest of the industry. Could you not argue, though, that they've done more than intermediated insurers to grow the insured pool and, take products to South Africans who were previously uninsured?
Yeah. Well, I think there are probably a couple of issues to that particular question. So, the comment I made in my presentation was more around the obsession with price. And any direct insurance advertising campaign that I've seen has focused, almost exclusively on price. So I don't think there's any debate about that. In the past, the direct market certainly were taken to task in terms of undermining and positioning the intermediary as, somebody of ill repute, unfairly so. In terms of the question about whether they've played a bigger role, I think it's a different issue in its entirety in terms of accessing previously uninsured markets. I think one has to look for the evidence of that. And certainly, in our group, we have a direct insurer that has been focused on that market. I don't think any of the other direct insurers, frankly, have been focused, and any access to that market that they've achieved has been more a case of default. But that said, I think the brokers and the industry as a whole need to transform exactly for that reason, because you've got this growing customer base that is not familiar with insurance, doesn't have the typical family relationships with an insurance broker that your white middle class does have. And so we're not building a distribution force in the broker space that's accessing that customer base. So we need to attract young black professionals into the industry to become brokers, to give advice in those markets, which are arguably the markets that require the most advice because they've been the least exposed to a complex financial product.